Ever stop and think about why you choose one brand over another? I mean, really think about it? It's not magic, and it's definitely not an accident. There's a blueprint, and today we're going to deconstruct that very blueprint, the hidden architecture that can turn a simple idea into a global sensation.
Just think about the last thing you bought. Maybe it was your morning coffee, or a new app, or those sneakers you've been eyeing. Why that specific one? Turns out, every single one of those decisions was guided by a really carefully crafted marketing plan, one designed to connect with you, right at that perfect moment.
Now, to really get this, we're going back to basics. Our guide for this journey is a classic marketing textbook that just cuts through all the noise and the jargon you hear today. It uses simple diagrams and tables to get right to the heart of the timeless principles that honestly still drive success. All right, before we lay the first stone of our marketing foundation, if you find these kinds of deep dives helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep building more of these for you.
Okay, pillar number 1. Every great strategy starts with knowing the terrain. And in the world of marketing, that means you have to deeply understand two things: the customer you're trying to serve and the competitors you're going up against. So here's the absolute starting point, the core idea. Marketing doesn't create needs, it just identifies them. A need is really just a gap. You're hungry and you desire to be full. You're bored and you desire to be entertained. Marketing's entire job is to spot that gap and offer a bridge to the other side. In this hierarchy of needs, it's like a secret decoder ring for marketers. Down at the bottom, you've got your basic survival stuff: food, water, shelter. A company selling bottled water is playing right there. But a luxury watch brand? Oh, they're targeting the very top of the pyramid. That deep human need for esteem, for status, for recognition. Great marketing knows exactly which level it's talking to.
So how do marketers actually uncover these needs? Well, they pretty much become detectives. They're looking for two types of clues. You've got fact-based research, which gives them the hard data, the what, the where, the when. But to really get the why, they need opinion-based research. That's how they get into the hearts and minds of consumers to figure out what really makes them tick.
So, now that we've surveyed the battlefield, it's time to build our weapon. This is pillar number 2, creating a product that doesn't just fill a shelf, but actually solves a real problem for a real person.
But here's the thing. Every single product, no matter how amazing, has a lifespan. We call it the product life cycle. Just think of the first iPhone, right? There was a slow, kind of uncertain introduction, followed by an explosion of growth. Then it hit maturity, where it felt like everybody had one. And eventually, that specific model went into decline as new versions took over. A smart marketer always knows exactly which stage their product is in. Why is one plain white t-shirt $10, while another one that looks almost identical is $200? Well, a lot of the time, the answer is this number. A strong brand, that name, that logo, that feeling you get. It can increase a product's perceived value by a staggering 15 to 25%, sometimes even more. That's the raw financial power of branding.
And think about this. Before a customer even uses your product, they meet its packaging. And it is not just a box. Our source calls it the silent salesman. I love that. On a crowded shelf, you've got literally seconds to grab someone's attention, tell them what you're about, and close the deal. It is an absolute workhorse.
But the experience doesn't stop when they pay. Especially for complex things like cars or software, the service you provide is just as important as the product itself. The book puts it perfectly. Without high-quality service, a product loses its consumer value and is rejected by the buyer. In other words, you can have the best product in the world, but bad service will sink it. Period. Okay, you get the market, and you've built an awesome product. Now for pillar 3. How do you actually handle the exchange? This is all about two huge decisions. What's the price, and how does this thing actually get into your customer's hands? So there are really two main paths to get to market. A company like Dell can sell a custom computer directly to you from their website. That's direct distribution. They have total control. But a brand like Coca-Cola, they need to be in every corner store on the entire planet. So they use this massive network of middlemen, wholesalers, retailers. That's indirect distribution. It's the classic trade-off, control versus reach.
And pricing, wow, it's not just about picking a number, it's a whole strategy. You can start simple with a cost-plus method, or you can look around and see what your competitors are doing. But the most advanced method, value-based pricing, it flips the whole thing on its head. Instead of asking, what did this cost us to make, it asks, what is the solution actually worth to our customer? That shift changes everything.
And that brings us to our final pillar, Communication. Because let's be real, the best product in the world is completely useless if nobody knows it exists. It's time to shout it from the rooftops.
So this is the marketer's communication toolkit. You've got advertising, where you pay for an ad. Then you've got public relations, where you earn media, like getting a great review. And finally, you have sales promotions. Those are the little incentives that give customers a reason to buy right now. A truly great campaign is just a masterful blend of all three.
And let's just zoom in on those sales promotions. A discount is never just a discount. There's always a strategic reason behind it. That introductory offer, that's to get you to try something new. A big seasonal sale, they're just clearing out last year's coats. Each one is a very specific tool for a very specific job.
So, we've walked through the 4 pillars of marketing, but they aren't separate buildings. The real power, the real magic, happens when you integrate them all into a single, cohesive machine. And this is exactly why that integration is so difficult but also so crucial. Inside any company, different departments have different and often conflicting priorities. Marketing is screaming for new features, production is begging for stability, and finance is just trying to keep costs down. Without a unified marketing vision to lead the way, the company just ends up pulling itself in different directions. So what's the secret sauce? How do you get everyone on the same page? It all comes down to a shared philosophy. When every single department, from finance to engineering to sales, agrees that the customer comes first and that profit is simply the reward for making that customer happy, well then they can finally start rowing in the same direction.
And that brings me to a final question for you. We've gone through the 4 pillars: understanding the market, building the product, the exchange strategy, and communicating value. In today's crazy, fast-moving world, which one of those do you think is the absolute linchpin? Which one, if it fails, brings the whole house of cards down?
Hey, if this explainer helped you see that bigger picture of marketing, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and maybe even share it with someone else who's building their own blueprint for success. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.